Well, g'day, guys, and welcome to another casual convo. This one's going to be another ripper, of course. I have got a bit of I love to use the word doyen. It sort of stands a bit with the people I've been chatting to of late. But I've got another doyen of rowing here. I have Linda Skidmore. Now, everyone knows Linda Skidmore. I don't need too much introduction there, but Linda from Rowing Victoria, and I mean, the list would go on. I'll ask Linda to give us a bit of a précis of her history in a moment. But Linda's come on to have a good chat about winter sculling. Most of you are thinking, forget rowing, it's all too cold and nasty. But there's a weird breed, I like to call them, the winter scullers, who are now getting all excited. Linda, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Guy. It's good to be here.
Look, it's great. I'm excited about winter sculling. I just realised I first did winter sculling in 1985. And I didn't understand the handicap system all too well, and I won the first race by an absolute country mile and thought, oh, look, I'm good at this. And then the handicappers saw that, and that was the end of me. But it's a great thing. Now, Linda, just give me a very little brief rundown about your history in rowing and what brought you into rowing and so forth.
Well, I started rowing. I got into rowing through my dad. So he's been a member of Yarra Yarra Rowing Club for, I don't know, close to probably like 60 odd years or thereabouts.
Wow.
And as a teenager, I was looking for a change of pace with sport. And I wanted to do something on my Sundays. And so Dad said that I could come down and try rowing. So I started rowing with my sister when I was about 13, 14 years of age. And learnt to row through Yarra Yarra and have been a member of Yarra Yarra on and off since then. And so rowed whilst at school, but not for a school,
Yep.
if it makes sense.
Yep.
Rowed to like mid-20s, then had, like a lot of people in their mid-20s, went off and, had a life outside of rowing, came back in your 30s and, and have been back ever since. So I've since probably the last 6 months, I've worked with RV, and then prior to that, I was working at Genazzano for about 7 years.
Yep.
And I'm also at the moment in Ballarat and helping out with Damascus College as well. So,
fantastic! Well, the Ballarat rowing scene's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. So it's a bit like Boathouse Drive. It's a small community. Love it. Everyone's fantastic. I
actually had no idea how big Head of the Lake was until during this season, and I was doing my chats with Alan Crute and Binky Kafuri about all of the schoolgirls rowing, and then we're talking about Head of the Lake, and then I absolutely had no idea. That thing is massive.
This was my first year for Head of the Lake, and I had no idea.
Yeah. So it would have been a bit of an eye-opener, wouldn't it?
Oh, it was on steroids. And, it goes for like maybe 4 hours, and it's condensed, it's intense, and you've got the schools walk past the pontoons with their flags, and they've got their spit crew. It is amazing. It was really such a great day.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's good that they're so focused on it. Now, we're here to chat about winter sculling. So, tell me, why on earth do you think people get so passionate about getting on a single scull on a freezing cold early Saturday morning and going for a row?
I have to say, listen, it's a good question, but there's such a great community down there.
Yeah.
And it's racing, but it's also relaxed racing as well. So I look at it and I think there is, it's all handicapped. So as you said before in your first race, you went out guns blazing, and then the following week, you were penalised for racing so well. So there's two ways you can look at it. You can race either the novice, which is 800 metres, or you can race the other one, which is 2,000 metres. You can go down the course rating 23, 28 or 32. It's really up to you. But I look at it and I go, every week the conditions vary. Every week you'll race someone different. You might have a good race one week, and then the handicappers might say you did a really good time, so we're going to put you against someone else. And that can be someone that is older or younger than you. It just has a bit of friendly banter at the start. The starters are great. There's always a bit of fun up there. I don't know, there's just something different about it. It's one race. You're there from, I think it's this year we started the 2Ks at 9 o'clock, and you're normally done, depending on what heat you're in, you literally row up, row down, get off. That's it. You're done. And you get your Saturday, you get your day free. So
now you make it sound easy, Linda, but I'm a Hawthorn member.
Yes, well,
there's nothing easy about winter sculling.
I take my hat off to the Hawthorn crew because they paddle down, row there. It's an 8K warm up or 6Ks if they've already got their bower numbers, and they've had a good warm up, and then afterwards they just do their. I like to think of it, guys, a nice warm down afterwards.
Well, it could be. I actually cheat a little bit. I didn't race last year because I was too busy training, but. The year before I raced, and I was a Hawthorn member then, but I'm also a Cardinal member. Now, I know it's not a lot closer, but it is still 4Ks of saving, so I'd actually do the winter sculling out of Scotch.
Yeah.
Even though I was on my own, it still saved me 4 kilometres a run.
Yeah, I know. And when it's a cold, wet Saturday, not that it's like that, winter's beautiful in Melbourne, so... No, it's I think it's great. I love it. I love it. And everyone from Hawthorn, when they come down as well, are always smiling. I've been going through the old photos that we've got on Facebook, and everyone is just smiling. I love it.
Well, I'm sure you know the name Eliud Kipchoge, the great marathon runner. And if you ever look at him towards the finish line, he's smiling. He's not actually smiling. It's quite the opposite. Like that for the Hawthorn guys. They're in such a world of what the hell am I? No, they actually do enjoy it. There's no two ways about that. We actually do get a very good contingency for winter sculling.
Yeah.
Considering it is such a big day out from rowing down from there. One thing that astounds me is how well the handicappers do. You can't pull the wool over their eyes. You can. Yes, there's a few little tricks. Brucey Winnan, I'm just a shout out to you, mate. I know you're across it. You try a few things. I'm not Bruce. That's not very nice of me, is it? But there is a few that try and work their way around it, but you just can't. You can't actually beat the system. I reckon it's great. And what I love about it is what it does is it rewards performance over time. And what I mean by that is, in theory, from race 1. If you train through to the end of race 6 and you are improving your own performance, you will get results based on the handicap, because that's what it's designed to do, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. And, I know of there's various people that run their own little spreadsheets and data analysis, and they're quick to critique and say, the handicapper's got it wrong. There's never anything that's perfect. But I think when you're dealing with, a lot of the time the handicappers are working off data.
Yeah.
Sight unseen. Sometimes they might do a bit of a ring around at the start and just say, Linda's racing, we don't know much about it, how would you put her in there? Yep. So they try and create a base, and every week they try and adjust to that base, because their goal is to get everyone crossing the line around the same time, rather than large margins. So our handicappers have been doing it for some time. So I think they've got a method behind it all. Don't ask me what it is, because I don't want to know what it is. That's their trick.
Some voodoo of some description.
It's their trick, and they're allowed to have that. So, but it's not an easy task, and one that they don't take lightly. So it's they do an amazing job.
Yeah, they do. The amount of times you sit there and watch close finishes, it's quite astounding when you consider single sculls over 2 kilometres.
Absolutely. And also, you may realize, as well, that there's, we're on a tidal river. So there's some days the tide will change. And so you might have a fast race in the first couple of heats, and then a significant difference in the latter end of the racing. So they try and take that into consideration.
Yep.
They'll try and take into consideration whether that someone's, they'll just try and do comparisons as much as possible. So.
Yeah, no, it must be a pretty challenging task, but I reckon they seem to get it down pat. Actually, many years ago, when I was living up in North Queensland, I adopted that philosophy to a triathlon, and I created a little fun, call it a training event, triathlon we used to do once a month, and I brought in that sort of a handicap system, exactly the same as that. and that, and over the period of time, you try and get everyone sort of finishing together, and it worked. It worked quite well, and it made it a bit of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like when we were in the lockdowns with COVID and it turned into a virtual series as well, we had a lot of people participating, myself included, and like because you were consistently doing it every week, the fear factor of a 2,000 meter reduced.
Yes.
So you kind of got on and did it. And the idea of this, the Winter Series, is to try and encourage people that wouldn't normally race.
Yeah.
Don't want to race 2,000 meters in the open season during the summer season. Actually go, you know what? I can have a hit out and there's no judgment. And every week there's something new to learn from it all. It's great. Yeah.
And you just said that no judgment. The no judgment thing, I think, epitomizes not just rowing, because it does, but with the Winter Sculling, you're talking about that community. There's no judgment on anyone, is it? It's just you're out there having a go, and hey, that's great. Everyone admires that. But I think that's the rowing community as well, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we all know what it's like, especially in singles. Everyone's tipped over. I got to say, on all of that, I really admire the school kids doing singles. I couldn't imagine for the life of me rowing. I mean, I rode singles at school, and it was very early days, and it wasn't in competition because we didn't have such a thing, except for the Winter Sculling. And I think there was only myself and, if I recall, one other that did that, and that was only because we were so crap at football. We had to do something, so they said, you can go and row over winter. But I think it is one of those sports that definitely creates that sort of inclusion, and without doubt, because of the community and so forth. Now, the head races, Linda, they're a good one, aren't they? The head races, not just the handicap series of the 6 races, but the head races. Tell us a bit more about those.
Yep, so the head races, like the ultimate is the Scullers head of the Yarra. So we start at Hawthorn and race down and cross at so it's the reverse of head of the Yarra.
Head of the Yarra,
Yep, so that's your 8K race, and that's in at third week of August. So we start off actually in a couple of weeks with the Albert Park Grand Prix. So that's 1.5 laps of Albert Park. So it's a nice way to ease into it. And just, as you come off the racing season or the summer season, you kind of just have a bit of a paddle around and ease your way into it.
Now, I'm going to call you to task on that there, Linda, because you've said a nice way to ease into it is the Albert Park Grand Prix. So the newbie who rocks up on day one of Winter Sculling, the first thing they do, they go to the Albert Park Grand Prix.
Yep.
And tell us about the start of the Albert Park Grand Prix, Linda. It's a bit different.
Well, it's a grid formation, like we went to the Grand Prix, Melbourne Grand Prix. So it's fantastic. So basically, we try and have the faster scullers line up first at the start. But it's if you happen to get on the start line first and you're slightly slower, then so be it. It's free for all. So it is literally just a attention go, and you just watch. I think we only have normally about 30 or 40 scullers, because a lot of people have taken time off, or it is the King's birthday weekend, so there's a few people that go away. But it is fantastic to actually. There's very few races that I know of where you can actually have 30 scullers start at once across. Actually, I think it's like a 50 to 75 meter start line. And they just take off, and it's fabulous to watch. It
is great. It's a great concept. I don't know whoever came up with that, but for those, I think you've got
Peter Anthony to thank for that one.
Did he come up with that one?
I think the Grand Prix is his little baby.
Yeah, right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I have done a little bit of AI searching. I first asked Claude about Winter Sculling, and Claude didn't give me an answer. You're probably going to go, who the hell's Claude? But that's like Chatty G, just different. Chatty G gave me an answer and told me it was started in 1914. That's about right, isn't it? It has been around.
Yeah. That long. Yep. So we celebrate 110 years this year.
Wow, that's a hell of a milestone. Yeah. So the one I love is the head of the Barwon. That was always a bit of a buzz for me heading down there, and that's because back in my day we used to race on the Barwon, and so the earlier times I got back into rowing, we'd go down for the head of the Barwon, Scullers head of the Barwon, and And then, is it Corio put on the pizzas afterwards?
Corio look after that one. So, like for us, we look after the majority or all of them except for Head of the Barwon. So, we start off with, like with the Head Racing Series, we start off with the Albert Park Grand Prix. The week after that is the John Whiting around the island. Then we go into the 6 weeks of handicaps. And then we finish off with the last 3 weeks with the head racing again. So we do Head of the Maribyrnong, which is 3Ks, I think, from memory. Then we head down to Geelong, which is a 4.5. 4.5. And then we finish with the Scullers Head, which is an 8K race. So Geelong, actually, so we take a trailer. So if anyone registers for Head of the Barwon, they don't have to worry about transporting their boat down.
Oh, that's handy to know.
Yeah, it's really important for people to recognise or realise that, and we will put it out there, advertise a bit more, but we do actually provide transportation if you need it. So, but we just need to know so we can organise the right size trailer and someone to tow it. So for you as an athlete, if you wanted to go down to Geelong or over to Maribyrnong or Albert Park, even if you want your boat taken up to Hawthorn, we can organise a trailer. You need to organise your own trestles. And loading and unloading, but we do all of that for you. So we will have a cut-off date. I think it's maybe 4 days beforehand to make sure we've got the right sizing. Because sometimes we've taken down like 20 boats. But the folk at Geelong, Corio Bay, are fantastic. And
they get right into it, don't they? They love it.
Yeah, it's great. Peter does a fantastic job. Peter and the volunteers down there do an amazing job.
Yeah. I mean, Geelong is just a great place for rowing, full stop, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, I've got the history with it, but I just love it. I just love it down there. Now, just back to the handicap series. Now, can you just explain to me on this? So there's the 6 races, of course. The first 5, you get points. The top 8 on points go through to the final of the 4 individual trophies.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so now the Herald Shield being the main male one, and then is it the Stokes Salver is the main female, the 2K ones?
Yes.
So on that particular race, on that final race 6, and if you're in the Herald Shield final, you're given your handicap still. Is it first across the line?
Winner takes all.
Winner takes all.
Winner takes all. So it comes down to... I think there's a prognostic. I actually should check all this before we promote it, but I think from memory, it is winner takes all. But now that I'm saying this out loud, I should just double check it.
I'm putting you under the pressure.
I know. I feel like I should know this, but I actually always rely on our committee and support network. So I normally have Gail Chats, who does all the timing, and Ash, who organises all the Ash Dillon, who organises all the entries. They normally provide me with all the information, so I am going to fly blind on this one. And
okay, well that's fair enough.
I like to think winner takes all. I feel like that should be how it is.
It's fair enough because I remember I was in the final a few years ago, and I was sort of the last in on points, and I remember thinking, oh, hang on, but you just got to win that race. And then someone else will go, no, you've got to have the most points and blah blah blah, and that's the winner is the one with the most points. I'm like, well, that defeats the purpose of having the final. Surely it's winner takes all. But anyway, we can't, I suppose maybe you toss a coin at the end. I don't know.
I'm going to have a quick look while we're having our chat. We'll try and redeem myself. And
now it is a shame to see over recent years a big drop off in the 800 metre event. There doesn't seem to have been a lot of interest, does there? Is that? Do you think that's people a bit nervous of doing it? The new.
Listen, I think it may be that. I think there was a bit of confusion at one stage because the 800 was always a tugboat race.
Yep.
And so when there was a shift to Scuds, and then to the training racing boats, I think people got a little bit confused as to what was allowed.
Yep.
So like at the moment, and I think most people now, when they're getting, not many clubs actually have tugboats, so everyone's learning to row in racing boats, and I think it's just Oh, I think it's just they've gone straight into like the 2000s. Like a lot of
Yeah.
especially the younger ones, like the schools, they're like, oh well, it's fun. I'm just going to do a 2000.
Yeah.
So
And
we've
they,
still
and they
got
want to do the
some,
training anyway, the physical training, right, for the schools.
yeah. But like we've had a really good representation, like Jane Robinson, who is at Corowa Anglican.
Yeah.
She's been a good supporter of the series. So she's had a couple of girls of her students in the 800-meter sprints. We've also had a couple of people from Richmond Rowing Club. So I think if you are a little bit nervous, I think people feel a bit gun shy though going in the 800. It should be a 2000. But I think what I'd like to see is more, and I'd like to see more school kids jumping on board as well.
Yeah. What about maybe a move in the direction of, instead of calling it the novice, just call it the sprint event? The handicap still comes into play if you're a novice or an experienced, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So I think, well, we changed it from tub to novice.
Yeah.
So that's a start, because that way at least you're then not, I guess, pigeonholed into a boat class, like a boat type.
Yep.
And we may look at changing the terminology over time as well. I think it's just, I think we've just got, open to suggestions. Listen, Guy, we've got a meeting tomorrow night. We can always have a bit of a chat about it.
It's right up my alley. Is something like an 800. The shorter stuff is right up my alley. I literally don't train. I just race.
Yeah.
And so something like that would appeal. But obviously, I can't rock up and row in a novice division. I'd be under a bit of flack for doing that one. But if they did put in an 800 event, I'd say, why not? Because
we do call it the 800 sprints, but I think we've still got the word novice in there. So, but it is like we do have the term sprints in there.
I know the purists would be horrified. It's like with triathlon. My main sport is everyone seems to think it's all about distance, but that mindset's not quite accurate. I mean, you look at athletics, and what is it all about? Marathon, or is it all about 100? Well, it's all about the 100, which is less than 10 seconds. It's interesting. Well, I don't know. It's just maybe it's something for food for thought. And again, as we discussed before, I pressed the record button with these sprints that they're doing now, that they did at state champs and so forth. It's becoming more and more prevalent as the 500-meter races. I think there's why not? Because I can't think of, and I've asked a few people. You may be able to answer this. Can you think of any other sport that has a start line and a finish line that doesn't have multiple distance events? There you go. Obviously, swimming does plenty of different distances. Obviously, athletics does plenty of distances. And before you say canoeing and kayaking, they've got 501k.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. We're a bit weird on that one, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, so...
And what got me thinking more about that is with the LA Olympics, with the new race distance, all the purists getting all angry, going, it has to be 2K. But why does it have to be 2K? Whoever said that?
I think the introduction of the sprint series, we'll just jump off winter for a second and go back to the summer sports. I think the sprint series is fantastic. When you go to nationals and, like the open nationals.
Yes.
And on the Saturday afternoon and they do the 500 sprints, it is exciting, it's fast, it's fun.
Yeah.
And the introduction of it for the Masters state champs this year, we didn't get a lot of take on it. A couple of people were like, why are we doing this? This is ridiculous. Yeah. But I think as a first-time trial, we should, I'd like to either see it as listen, you could even go 300-meter sprint.
I've got an answer for you on this one, Linda, because it's unlike me to keep my opinions to myself. The only mistake of the 500 sprints at the State Masters, it was on Sunday afternoon. And what it meant is holding back trailers from heading back to Melbourne. I certainly wanted to do it right up my alley, as I said. We had probably at Hawthorn, we ended up 2 girls doing it, but we probably had the best part of a dozen people wanting to do it. But we all decided, poor Joe driving the trailer, we're not going to hold him up. It to me would have been perfectly done on the Saturday Arvo. There's time, while others who didn't want to do it could have been having a drink, and as was brilliantly done by RV, mind you, that Saturday afternoon was a lot of fun down at down on the side of Nagambie there having a cleansing ale. But imagine running the sprints at that point in time.
Absolutely. And so it was only put forward 6 days prior to Masters. So it wasn't even on the regatta program.
Yeah.
It was just something that was seen, it was discussed, and it was very much a late inclusion. It was, I think, Adam Harrison, our acting CEO, he walked around at Albert Park late at the regatta and just put forward the question, if we did a sprint series, would you guys be interested? So it was literally a last minute inclusion into the program, so which is why it went on the Sunday afternoon. But I know it is something that will be up for consideration as well for next year.
I hope you didn't take my comments as criticism, because it's quite the opposite. I'm a massive fan of the idea. I absolutely love it. My comment was merely that if it was on the Saturday, it might have more chance, because I think there'd be plenty of people doing it. That said,
I'd take that on, absolutely. Yeah. Like we all actually said afterwards, Saturday would have been a better day for it, because it was the trailer factor that stopped people entering. But yeah, I love the sprints. I think it's a great idea. It's fun. It's like a splash and dash.
Oh, absolutely. You can get some of the big guys in there and teach them to row at a decent rating.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
Hey, Guy, just to interrupt. So I'm going to go back and just clear up something with the Herald Shield series, Silver. It is on points, so it's not first across the line.
Right.
I'm looking back at last year's, so I apologise for the misinformation on that one. So it is on point system.
Yep. Okay. Which sort of makes sense, because the whole season has been based on the point system.
I know, but wouldn't it be nice for...
Oh, look, it would. But it's a real catch-22 in my mind, that one, because, it'd be great winner takes all, but isn't the idea to reward those that have worked hardest through the whole
Absolutely.
period?
Yeah, absolutely.
Catch-22, I'd be happy either way. But winner takes all does make it exciting, and especially for the one who's just snuck in.
Yeah, I know, the underdog.
Yeah.
So.
And I only snuck in because I missed one of the races, so I dropped point. I didn't have the points, so I just managed to get in the low one. I could have been better off, but anyway, that final I was in didn't happen because of the weather. Got cancelled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's been about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
God, I'm losing track of time. It's pre-COVID. God.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, those COVID ones on the ergos. God, they weren't much fun. Those head races on the ergos. God, Jesus, that was.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. The same principle still applies. So, you start off and you may start off doing like a slightly lower rate until you start to build up some of your fitness and endurance again. Like you go from the summer season where you're doing sprints back into switching into a little bit more endurance based, like longer pieces.
Yeah.
And then, for those of us that aren't used to doing 2,000 meter racing, to go and do, most school kids wouldn't do a 2K every week.
No.
And but there was something about it where it just kind of, it was great. So hard, absolutely hard. I did avoid the Scullers head of the arrow on the ergo. Not gonna
I just remember, and I've got a visual in my head. I've got a little my outdoor gym, not outdoor. It's a room up the back, and I've got I spend all my time on the treadmill, but I do have the ergo there, and I just have this visual, and I can still remember it doing that Sculler's head, just looking at the screen, saying, hold that number, and then closing my eyes for 10 strokes, then opening them again. Oh, I'm still there. Good. Keep going. Literally 10 strokes at a time. It's a long way.
I know. That most race plans are all about 10 strokes at a time.
Oh, yeah. Race plans. Oh, God, what's that? Let's just hold on, isn't it? No. Oh, dear. Hey, look, it's been great having a chat, Linda. I really appreciate you joining me to go through all of that. And Winter Sculling, first race of the Albert Park Grand Prix. When is that? What date?
Yeah, so the Albert Park Grand Prix is, let me go back into it, I think from memory is, I want to say the 8th of July. Oh, my goodness, can't even talk. 8th of June.
June, yep.
8th of June is the, which is the King's long weekend.
Yep.
So I might need to adjust the start time for that one because it coincides with Park Run. So I'm just been liaising with the organisers of that. So, but anyway, so as I mentioned, we take a boat trailer from Boathouse Drive over to the lake.
Yep.
And then we go, and then it's every week after that. So the 8th of June, 15th, 22nd, 29th.
Yep.
My favourite round, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to do a little spruik here, Guy, is round 5. In the last couple of
I
years.
did see your comment on Facebook. Talk us through what's
I
round
love
5.
it. So our first year back after the COVID lockdowns, we were all excited getting around to round 4, and I was like, let's actually have a bit of fun with round 5. So we made it fancy dress for both the volunteers and the athletes.
Yep.
One of my friends dressed, she was getting back into the boat, so she dressed up as a snail. So she spent all night making this shell out of stockings and attached it to
You had to row in that thing.
Yep, she did. If you go back through some of the photos, and Alan Purton dressed up as a pirate last year and had a bird hanging off his stern.
Do the handicappers take that into account?
Oh, we should, I'll tell you what. But what I like about it is, it's just actually, again, bringing a little bit of fun into the start line. Yeah. The summer season is all about being serious, having a game face on for racing.
Yes.
And the winter, what is fantastic about the Winter Sculling Series is that it is actually about getting out there, having a bit of friendly banter. And, we've got in as our participants, ex-Olympians, Olympians, Australian representatives, national title, state title winners, and they're getting in there and putting on a multicoloured wig.
Yeah.
Or a pink hat or something like that. And it's just like, well, let's actually go and have a bit of fun, and that's the last round before, round 6, which is the finale. So I love it. So it's fantastic.
And it's a good way to keep your toe in the water, hopefully not your whole body, but keep your toe in the water through the winter months and staying on top of a little bit of rowing fitness too, isn't it?
Yep.
So we stay tuned for 8th of June. Time to be determined by that bloody park run. I'll tell you what, Linda, park run at the Albert Park Regatta a few weeks back. I'm losing track of time. About 2 months now, isn't it? I rocked up early and I thought, park run, that'd be a good opportunity to do a bit of a warm-up. I'll just go for a bit of a trot. I'll take it easy. I got through halfway under my PB time and finished with a PB at park run and then had to row for the day. And what a tragic mistake that was. I was in a world of strife. Got a bit ahead of myself.
They have nearly 1,000 participants.
They do.
And they start at 8:30, and that was, and so
8 o'clock they start.
Yeah.
But they'd be finishing for up until sort of 9 and
and so, but they go past it. So anyway, we've got to look at, we've just got to make sure that, we are a visitor of Albert Park Lake and be respectful and mindful of them as well.
Of course.
Yeah, I just need to double check everything with them. So.
Yeah. No.
But I'm really looking forward to a good season. And one thing that I hope this does as well, Guy, is to encourage all athletes. So, whether it be some school kids, it'd be great if we can actually have the clubs that are doing their winter programming. So whether it be Merck's, Melbourne Uni, Banks, Richmond, that are doing their Saturday morning rows, to actually encourage some of their rowers to jump in and include it in some of their training as well.
Yeah, so, completely agree with that. It's a great opportunity to do that. I think maybe the problem with a lot of that is the fear of the single for a lot of the rowers, especially the sweet boys that are, they can hide in their 8, but they can't hide in their single.
No, I know, but but what a perfect time to actually grasp this opportunity when it's a low pressure event rather than knowing that it's and a bit of a cold weather is enough to keep you inside the boat.
Yes. You don't want to tip. No, absolutely. Well, fantastic. Look, thanks again, Linda. Really appreciate it. We'll get the message out there, and obviously we've got a few weeks. That's 2 weeks by the look of. Oh God, my diary skills are not really. 3 weeks away.
3 weeks.
3 weeks away. So still an opportunity to get in the single before the 8th and have a go. But the Albert Park Grand Prix, a really good fun one for those who haven't done it, especially that start. Makes it all a little bit different and takes your mind off things for the first 500 to a K because you're too busy worrying about what's going on around you.
Little friendly banter at the start line.
There's always friendly, and you've said this a few times through this chat. There is a lot of friendly banter, isn't there, in the old Winter Sculling?
Yeah.
So I do recall some years ago, and I'm sitting there, and it was a bit gusty before the start, and I was waiting down there before coming through, and I was racing against Nick Inglis, and he comes rowing down in square blades, and I'm like, really, mate? Come on. It is really intimidating there, aren't you? Square blades in the wind. Don't worry about that.
All right. I remember seeing a couple of years ago Peter Anthony racing the 2K races in a tub scull and still overtaking people, and like, oh.
I remember him doing head of the Barwon in a tub scull with, I assume, I don't know, I'm going back some years, there was a young girl on the bow. Was it his daughter? Maybe, I don't know.
It would have to be one of his kids. Yeah. He used to,
sitting on the bow, and he's in a tub scull.
Yeah.
Still beat me. Anyway.
But what a fun memory to have, and you wouldn't have the summer series. So
I did see a double that day as well. I'm thinking, hang on, that's a bit.
That might be James Weatherby, though. He's allowed to.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was two young girls.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'll swap with that. Doesn't make it any easier, mind you. Just the pain's over a little bit quicker. That's all.
Exactly.
All good. Anyway, look, thanks again, Linda. Really appreciate it. Good luck for you've got a bit of down. Well, I suppose you don't really have a lot of downtime from an RV perspective, but it'll all kick off in earnest again before you know it, won't it, the season?
Absolutely. There's a lot of planning going on at the moment at RV for next season, so there's no rest, really.
And just on that, I really appreciate the administrators of all sport, and you guys do a great job. I know it's hard. I know administration of sport is brutal, and there's a lot of experts out there who will tell you how you should be doing it and how they can do it better. But no, you guys do a great job. So well done.
No, thank you. I will say that from a sport perspective, as an organisation that looks after 9,000 athletes, and there's I think 6 of us in the office, it's a pretty small ratio. So yeah, we do. It's a good team, great team to work with.
No, you do well. Good on you. Anyway, all the best for the pending season. All the best for winter sculling, and we'll see you on the riverbank soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to spruik the series.
No worries at all, Linda. We'll speak soon.
Thanks.
Bye.